Hello friends! In amongst the chaos of getting ready to move interstate and working on some new picture books, I'm trying to make time for creating art in my sketchbook just for fun, because it's one of those things that I find really grounding and calming, which is especially useful in busy times. I was sent these lovely new marker pens by Arrtx, who are kindly sponsoring this video, so I want to play around with those. They're a nice set of pastel colours that come in a cute box that folds out into a little stand, which is fun. And then I think I'm also going to use some coloured pencils for details because I love the texture of pencil kind of over any other media. Also a quick note, I've just published a brand new second channel as a place to share my real-time art process videos with you, because I have all of this lovely art footage, but it feels too long to share on this channel. So hop over there after you've watched this video if you'd like to see the full-length real-time sketchbook sessions. So I have my regular sketchbook that I draw in. The pages are 140 GSM, which isn't super thick, so we'll see how it goes with wet markers. I'm not too precious about my sketchbooks though, so I'd rather just make some art and see what happens than be cautious about it. I've only done a quick little test so far with these markers, which are a pastel set of Arrtx Oros alcohol markers, and I was surprised how light the colours actually are. I usually find art markers too dark, but these are really lovely light pastels. I even filled in the swatch sheet, which I am usually too lazy to do, but because they're so light, the swatches are really important for accurate colours. So I have a couple of drawing ideas in mind for this afternoon, but I'd really like to start with a full spread of a really simple floral design. Basically just lots of chunky flowers spread across my page as a nice warm-up to drawing without needing to do too much thinking. I like flower shapes because you can be really loose with them, and they're a really nice thing to draw when you're trying out new art supplies because you don't need to know what you're doing to draw some nice flowers around the page. I'm just going to do a few different shapes and spread them around these two pages, leaving big gaps because I want to come back through with some different coloured flowers once I'm done with the blue. I love marker pens that have a brush tip rather than a hard pointy tip. I personally find them so much softer to use. So these have this soft brush tip and also a chisel shaped tip on the other end. But for me, I find the brush tip does everything that I want because I can use it for details or for filling in broad areas. To be honest, at first I thought these colors might be a bit too soft, but actually I've realized they make for a really lovely base color that isn't too strong, almost like using a pretty watercolor wash or something similar, that I can then build on with more layers or go over with colored pencils. So I'm just spreading out flower shapes in a few different light colors, trying to balance them fairly evenly so that all of one color isn't in the same space. And then I think I'll start filling some of these smaller spaces with little dots and splodges in uneven groups around the page as well. I think the calmest drawing sessions are the ones where you feel really free with your art, where you aren't worried about drawing correctly, you're just playing with shape and color and drawing loosely. I'm sure my heart rate is so low when I draw things like this, and especially at a time where a lot of us spend lots of time on our phones, it's just nice to sit and do a gentle art activity like this, even if the outcome isn't phenomenal. I'm layering up some slightly darker colours on parts of the flowers to give a bit of variety in colour and value, and these pens blend together nicely when you layer them up. Just checking this paper, and the pens are bleeding through the page a little bit with this layering up, but not all the way, so I'll just be gentle with them. In my creative curriculum on Patreon this month, we're exploring the moods of different colours, so everything I'm doing at the moment, I have that in the back of my mind to pay attention to how these different colours make me feel. I'm finding it really nice to have a gentle learning structure at the moment with my monthly curriculum focus. If you missed it, I talk all about it in my previous video. When was the last time you sat down to do a nice gentle art activity, where you didn't have any expectations on the outcome, where the goal was just to enjoy playing with creative ideas and making colourful marks on a page? Maybe you do it often, but if not, consider giving it a try when you next have 20 minutes available. It's a really nice thing to do. You could draw something just like what I'm making here if you like, spreading different flower shapes around the page in different colours, and then filling in some of the space between them with spots and splodges. And if you have any art supplies you're not very familiar with yet, this is the perfect activity to get more comfortable with them. I'm probably most comfortable with colored pencils because I've used them the most and I have more control with them, so I'm using them here to add some details, some shading, and a bit of extra texture to these flowers. Now, since these markers are so light, I think I could use them to add a subtle background color to the page. So I'll try a light pink and see if I can just fill in this whole background area. And I think the last thing this page needs is some leaves. So I've got a light green that I'll use as a base color, and just spread some leafy splodges around the page, and then I can go over them with some coloured pencil details. This was such a nice colourful art activity and really calming, especially with this pastel colour palette and all the flowers. Next, I want to try drawing a more complete scene with these Arrtx marker pens, and I'm also going to swap out to a different sketchbook to test out some different paper. This book has 230 GSM pages, so much thicker than my other sketchbook, and they're also quite a lot more textured. So I think I'll keep using the soft brush tip of the pens. This is the chisel shape on the other side, which is nice and big, but usually a bit hard for my preference. Now this time I want to draw a simple landscape, so I'll start with a really light basic sketch in pencil to block out my composition. I really love landscapes with pink skies rather than the more obvious blue. Maybe because I usually prefer warm colours, or maybe because I like the combination of pinks and greens together in a landscape. But either way, I'm going for a bright pink sky because it feels fun and playful. There are so many lovely light colours in this Oros set of markers that I have a few different pinks to choose from. So I'm going to try to layer them up as I go, not to blend them perfectly because I like the sketchy line texture, but to give a little bit of gradient to the sky. I usually go for really warm greens that are borderline yellow, so I'm happy that this set has a few of those. Though maybe I'll use some cooler greens on the mountains in the background afterwards. I've always really loved landscape paintings and illustrations. One day I'd love to be able to create those big, beautiful paintings on canvas of cloudy landscapes, but for now this drawing in my sketchbook is more suitable for my quiet afternoon and can count as practice towards it. I'm sure a lot of creative people have the same problem of having so many things you'd like to be able to make, and it feels like there'll never be enough time to do them all. But I like to believe that we can do everything, just not all at once. So one day, maybe when I have my own house to actually put giant paintings in, I'll turn my creative attention to learning how to paint big landscapes on canvas. So I'm just layering up colours on the different blocks of this simple composition until I'm happy with the base, and then I'll come back through with coloured pencils. And I'm letting my strokes get sketchier as the colours get darker because I want that texture, especially in this grassy area down the bottom. Now I think I'm ready for some pencils, which I'm using in darker colors to add a bit of contrast and sketch in some nice details. I love the sketchy look where it feels loose and carefree, but also kind of intentional at the same time. This has been such a lovely afternoon of drawing and so nice to experiment with some new art supplies. I'll leave links to the Arrtx markers in my description down below. This set has lovely soft pastel colors and comes in a great box that's easy to access the markers from, either upright like I have, or you can tip it over and the lid becomes a little stand, so you can also use them on the side like this. And if you'd like to watch a very relaxing real-time version of these two drawing sessions, they're available now on my second channel that I literally just published this week because I want a place to put all of the drawing process videos that I have, so jump over there and subscribe if you want to see more of those. Thanks so much for spending this arty afternoon with me. Can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye bye!